At Lifehack Coaching, we help women over 35 to balance hormones naturally, boost metabolism, and lose weight sustainably. Hi everyone, I've got Margot with me today. She is doing a 1-year program currently, and so far she lost over 15 kilos. Learn a lot about nutrition, about lifestyle, and just really wanted to share her story with us. So hopefully it's going to be empowering and encouraging for some other people who feel like nothing works anymore. Welcome to my podcast. How are you today?
Good, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Not a problem. All right. Well, how about we'll start with you telling us a little bit about you and how we end up here.
Sure. So I'm a solo mum. I'm in my mid to late 40s, and I've never been a small person. I've been small for short periods of my life, but mostly weight's been an issue for me. But I just noticed that the weight had just crept up and up and up, and the things I used to do to help bring it down were not working, like just nothing was working. And I had really bad perimenopause symptoms too, like night sweats, hot flushes, mood swings, and some other yucky things. So yeah, I just really felt like I needed to get on top of it. And so I joined a program last year for 4 months, but it was through a lady in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And even though I asked lots of questions before I signed up about, because my issues I knew were hormonal, because I've always been hormonally challenged, it was actually not aimed at people in this phase of life, because things definitely change when you hit this age. So that was a bit frustrating. It helped me learn, yes, you need to change the way you eat, and you need to eat high protein or higher protein, but yeah, it didn't really work. I lost or dropped maybe 5 kilos, but slowly it all just came back after I stopped that. So I was really excited to find you because you're in New Zealand. So I knew that you would tell me about food and products that we have here, because the US and Canada, it's a whole nother world.
Yeah.
You specialize in perimenopause and menopause, which is essential because, like we said, things are different when you get here.
Yes, very different. And I remember when we were first talking, when you said you worked with someone and you didn't get results that you were after. And I was thinking, oh God, pressure's on. Now I have to deliver. Now I have to make sure it works. And I was like, oh, if it didn't work, why didn't it work? Did you do the work? Was it a coach? Was it a client? And I always worry about it. I'm like, because as coaches, the stuff we know, there's no tricks. We learn from the same book pretty much, right? So what we know and what we learn is exactly the same for every coach, really. But what changes is approach and, I guess, willingness to be flexible and try different approaches, right? Like some people only focus, I don't know, maybe on keto. Some people only focus on vegetarian or whatever, where I try to go, okay, well, what is actually going to work for you? What would be the best? And then I'm flexible on my own beliefs, because what will work for you might not work for me, or what works for me might not work for you. So always try to kind of prioritize the client needs first. But yeah, after that conversation, I was like, oh my God, challenge accepted. Now we have to make it happen. I promise. So now I have to give you those results. So why did you decide that was the time? Like, what actually made you to commit to full year and not, my 16 weeks program yeah.
A couple of things. Because I'm a solo mum, so I don't really have any backup to look after my daughter. And there was a lady at school who's in a similar situation to me, and she was overweight too and ended up in hospital for 3 days out of the blue with a heart condition. And I was born with a heart condition, so I already have a kind of something to be aware of. And I just thought, flip, like this can't happen to me. I need to be healthy because I need to look after my child. I want to look after my child and I want to be there for her. That's, I guess, one of my biggest motivating factors. And then when you and I had a chat, I just knew it was going to take some time, because I was pretty small before I had my daughter 8 years ago now. So I've had all this time to get this big again. So I thought, well, it's not going to be overnight, but I want to do this and I want to do it properly, and I wanted this to be the last time. So if I do it over a year, I'm going to build a new lifestyle, because that's what
Yes.
this needs to be. It's got to be something that this is my new way of being rather than just something that I do for a short while and then go
Yes.
back to what I was going to do before that worked so well.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting. There's research been done that you have to stay at the same weight for 2 years in order for your body to get used to it. So, like all the short sprints that we do, the challenges, the 6 weeks, the 12 weeks, the 16 weeks, whatever, if you don't maintain that weight for next 2 years after that, then you will just gain all that weight back up again real quick. And I guess it's funny because we say, oh, 6 week challenge. Well, the challenge actually starts after, not during, because during is where you're actually working intentionally to lose weight. But the main challenge comes in is when you have to maintain what you've achieved for the next 2 years, because it's a 2 years. It's such a long period of time, 2 years. And I mean, in the past, when I was in my 20s, I thought, oh my God, 2 years, such a long time. Now I'm like, Christmas was yesterday and it's already tomorrow. Like, how did this happen? I have to buy presents again and sort out our lives and the kids and school holidays. It's just like, because we started working before the Christmas.
Yeah.
And the Christmas already coming.
I know.
It's crazy. It's fascinating how fast the time goes. And, I know a lot of people when I introduce 1 year, they go, oh, 1 year is such a long time. I don't know if I can commit to 1 year. 1 year is nothing. Like, it's nothing really, especially with us women. It's like 12 cycles.
Mm.
When you break it down into that, it's like it's not long at all. Okay, so we have been working for what, 9 months now, 10 months. What have you learned? Like, what have you learned about nutrition? What have you learned about lifestyle? What surprised you the most?
Biggest surprise was eating all my calories. Like, we live under this myth of like calorie control, starve yourself, eat only the rabbit food. But it's the other way around. It's the days when I don't eat my calories, my weight doesn't go down, and sometimes it even goes up. So that's
Yes.
probably the hugest of all of them. That, and then also eating 3 times a day, and just that, not all there needs to be a gap in between, because that was huge for me in the beginning, particularly. I think that really helped my insulin levels calm
Yes.
down and come normal.
Yeah, it's about 2 hours for when you have a spike, and then it takes about 2 hours. It's around about that for insulin to come down. And if we're constantly grazing, then we're not giving opportunity for insulin levels to come down, and then we're causing insulin resistance because it's always up there. There's other reasons, of course, why insulin stays up there. It's like stress, overtraining, undersleeping, overeating. There's lots of different things, but that's one of those that you have to have break between your meals. And it's also good for your teeth. I remember my dentist used to tell me, like, every time you eat, you brush your teeth afterwards. I'm like, so toothbrush with me everywhere, all the time, non-stop? That would be interesting. But it's another way kind of to stop yourself from grazing. If you brush your teeth every time you eat afterwards, then okay.
That's
That will
fascinating. Yeah, I get that.
that could get quite annoying, right? Trying to brush your teeth all the time. You'll be thinking twice before you will stop at petrol station to grab a little muesli bar or something like that. Okay, now that's cool. So, you mentioned the calories. Do you recall us having conversation at the start, like where you would complain about eating that much food?
No, a little bit. Yeah. Like I remember that's especially in the beginning, that would pretty much be the thing. You're not eating enough, you're not eating enough, you're not eating enough. Because my weight didn't do major things in the
No.
beginning. It took quite a while for
Yeah.
to start happening.
I think it's actually, well, I remember we started December and we didn't really kind of like, it's all right, December right off and January right off until your daughter went back to school and you go back to normality. So the first 2 months, there was 100% no shift at all.
Yeah.
And then slow shifts started to happen, I think, in February, like 3 months. And then I think I would say the most weight loss you had in the last 4 months.
Yeah.
I think that's where the most shift happened. And I think it's because you've been under eating for so long that your body was undernourished and felt unsafe. And it took that long for your body to go, okay, I'm safe now. She's nourishing me. I'm eating enough. I'm feeling good. Now I can start releasing what I don't need.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And that's why I had such a big shift, which was quite amazing. Any lifestyle change, your mindset biggest shift that you've experienced?
Yeah, definitely. I think the other thing that I really realized in this process is I started choosing myself because I've been a huge people pleaser my whole life. And so even things like we go and see my parents for lunch once a week, and my dad always is like, "Oh, have a glass of wine with me." And before I would have said yes because he likes that and he will ask me 2 or 3 times, "Oh, come on, come on." But now I don't give in because I'm honoring myself. And I found that that's been really big, choosing myself, because the biggest pain for me is actually the self abandonment. And
Yeah.
it's not worth it. Like
Mm-hmm.
those giving yourself a treat with a sugary thing or whatever, it's not a
Yeah.
real treat. It's actually inflicting more pain and negative things upon yourself. The real treat or the real nurturing or self service is choosing food that nourishes and heals you. And
Yeah.
that's probably the biggest insight.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. It is hard. It is hard, especially depending on what environment you grow up in. It's hard to say no, and depending on the culture as well. You know, in some cultures, I know in my culture, if you go to people's houses and they offer you food, you can't say no. You're not allowed to say no. Like, doesn't matter if you're hungry or not, you're sitting down and you're eating. If they're offering you alcohol, you're sitting down and drinking. Be grateful you got offered. If they're offering that to you, it's because they really want to do that. Like they don't feel obligated to do it. So, but then you're obligated to take it.
Yeah.
So it's hard depending on the culture. And sometimes while we're trying to achieve certain goals, we have to take ourselves out of situations where it's hard to say no. Once you get where you want to be, then it's all about living 80-20 lifestyle. You know, 80% of the time you eat what you're supposed to, you drink what you're supposed to, you follow your plan, your routine. And then 20% of the time you can have that glass of wine with your dad if that's what he really wants. You can have ice cream with your daughter or have a pizza with your girlfriends, you know, like, but then you get back onto what you were doing prior to it. So that's kind of the thing to remember. This is not forever, but also you have to compromise while you're working on getting your results. While you're focusing on achieving your results, this should be your priority, and you have to compromise and you have to say no. But then later, it's not going to be forever. Later, you can have all the fun back in your life. So you lost over 15 kilos, but what results you actually proud of the most?
Well, I love just fitting into my old clothes because I didn't get rid of them. So it's like having a whole wardrobe, a new wardrobe, but it's just there in my cupboard.
Mm,
But I'm more proud of showing up for myself. So just doing it every day. And the thing also is, like, I totally get, I'll get to that 80-20 point sometime. Not yet. I'm not where I want to be just yet. But I've learned how to navigate. And it's amazing how much of what is out there in the world is actually not food. You know, it's become kind of a case of find the food or bring it
yeah,
with you. So that's
yeah,
really interesting. And also, unfortunately, my daughter has my same build. So I struggled with my body and my weight and not liking myself in the way I looked most of my life. So I'm really hopeful that me doing this for myself is going to mean that she gets a different experience. She doesn't have to go down that same path.
yeah. It affects us so much. My mom always was on diets all her life. Like,
Mine too. Mine too.
always was on diet. Like there's so many different diets. We don't eat salt diet. We don't eat sugar diet. We write down we don't eat sugar and salt diet. We like there's so many different things. And I remember being on diet myself since I don't know, I was like 14 maybe, constantly like I'm not gonna eat tomorrow anything or whatever. But having not actual knowledge
Yeah.
about what to eat and growing up, I always thought that, you know, to lose weight, you just stop eating and go
Yes.
for a run. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
You go for a run and you stop eating and you will lose weight. There was no education about eating more. There's no education about protein, carbs, and fats and what they are. It was just like you just eat whatever hell you want and go for a run. Well, actually, don't eat anything and you will be fine. like because of that experience, I guess, I always try to speak to my daughter about, we don't talk about the body image or anything like that. We talk about being strong, and we always discuss importance of protein and how much protein she should be eating and why protein is important. So we always focus on protein. And I always say to her, she's 10, that as long as you hit your protein number per day, you can eat whatever else you want. Because I know if she'll hit her protein number, she's not going to be going for junk food because she's going to be full. But I don't want to say, no, you're not allowed to eat this, you're not allowed to eat that, because that's what it will cause resistance, and then she'll rebel at some point, and then she'll become that adult who, like myself, binged on chocolate, right? Because I wasn't allowed as a kid, and then when I became an adult and I could buy it for myself, I would just binge. I'll eat the whole block of Whittaker's chocolate and feel sick, but I'll still eat, and I'll eat more just because I can, right? No one can tell me not to. And that's kind of what I'm trying to be aware of when being a mom of a girl. I'm trying to, instead of talk negatively why you should, like, I don't want to say, oh, otherwise you get fat. Like, I remember I was told that, and I don't want that to her to hear, but I always say, like, if you have strong body, you can compete in sports well, you can go for tramping, you can travel and feel good, and like, you can have functional body that can take you on the journeys, and you can experience so much more when you don't feel tired, when you nourish your body with good carbohydrates. And we talk about the different type of carbohydrates, and she understands that fruit and veggies have a slower release of energy, and then sugary drinks or chocolate have fast release of energy. And with fast release of energy, yes, you have a quick release and you feel energized quicker, but you also crash harder. And so we spoke about those kind of things, and I wish we had that as growing up, because we wouldn't be where we are now. If there was kind of education about that. And then that's what we focus on. Yes, she's seeing me not eating, bakery. I don't eat bakery, or I wouldn't be sitting eating a block of chocolate or anything like that. But we talk about it. We talk what benefit my body gets when I eat enough protein, or her body gets when she eats enough protein. What happens when you eat too much muffins? We don't say if you eat too much muffins, you end up being overweight. We talk about how you're going to feel bloated, you'll be a bit tired in the afternoon, you might even get moody and things like that. So I think that's important with kids, right? Like, we have to be so careful when we're still stuck in dieting culture, right?
Yeah, totally.
For you, beyond the number on scales, what changes have you noticed in yourself that you're now implementing day to day?
Well, definitely I look different, especially my face. My face is way like it used to be, almost a little moon face. And now it's actually oval. I can see like my muscles. I always wanted to have like the veins in my hands pop out. I don't know, that's been like a thing that I've had obsession about since I was a kid. They don't do it all the time, but they do sometimes. It's just a silly thing. Or like putting my fingers around my wrist. That's another big one that I find exciting.
Oh,
Yeah, and just it's also interesting different people's responses. Some people are like, "Oh my goodness, you look amazing. What have you done?" And then other people almost get a bit like kind of shitty at you or mad at you that you've done what they know they should be doing and they haven't. It's funny
yeah.
just watching that.
But
But
you know what? They're not shitty with you. They're shitty with themselves.
yeah, no, totally.
They're shitty with themselves, or maybe even disappointed at themselves. Who knows? But it's how they feel is none of your business and not your problem. You're not responsible for how they feel at
Totally.
all.
It's
No.
just funny to watch.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You should be proud of yourself. You've achieved so much and you've done so well. And yes, at the start, I was a little bit worried myself. I'm like, oh my God, how are we going to get there? What do we need to do? Like, I always worry for my clients. I always want them to achieve results. And I'm like, what else can we try? How can I keep you motivated if scales are moving? But it's a process, right? Like, you have to trust the process.
A really comprehensive list of bloods and things to do. I think that was really, really good too. We did that pretty early on so that we could pinpoint like some of the things that were a challenge for me that I needed to work on.
Yeah, yeah. And you end up going to,
Dr. Libby is the lady,
yes,
well, it's under
yes,
me, but the naturopath, her name's Jenny.
naturopath, yes.
Yeah.
And they help you pick up the right supplements as well that will help to not speed up the process, but I guess to get your body into nourished state. That
Yeah.
will, yeah, and that's all helped, I think. And I remember at the start you were going to bed quite late too. I think that's improved a little bit. So that was a big change as well. You were undersleeping,
Yeah.
not sleeping enough. So you were not eating enough, not sleeping enough, not nourishing your body, and then you expect your body to perform. I wonder why.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It is a huge one. You're right. It's like,
quite a few changes,
yeah.
quite a few shifts that happen. So for women who are nervous about committing to a long period of time, what would you tell them? Like, what would you tell them after going through this journey yourself?
I would say that it's understandable that it's a big commitment. And I wonder if people who are used to letting themselves down, it might be a bigger hurdle, because I know that is what it was for me. But
Yeah.
well, if not now, then when?
Mm-hmm.
And the best way to do it is with someone like you who knows and can really support you in the right way. Because you're not there like going, oh my God, you ate that this week? Like, what the hell is wrong with you? Do you actually think this is going to work if that's what you're doing? Like, you don't do that. You're just supportive and saying, well, isn't going to help you. But, we all have blips and you fall off the wagon. Like, even I do. But now it's like I might have a piece of chocolate, whereas before I would eat the whole thing and then find something else, so
Yeah.
it's just kind of part of life and part of this process. And you're there, you're kind of like, I guess, like the handrails on a staircase. And I hope that's not a horrible metaphor, but you're there for protection. You're there to help people stay where they meant to be, not to criticize and not to make them feel bad. And like being with you, I don't think that if I was doing this by myself, I'd be where I am. Definitely not. Because there is that element of accountability where I'm like, yeah, I could go and have a pastry, even though I know I can't because it actually hurts my tummy so much. But I could eat that thing, but A, I'm going to feel awful. And B, I don't want the number to go up on the scale and Stacey's going to look at it. And that feels yucky. So, nah.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess it's like makes you question your decision twice.
Yeah.
Like, I don't only have to answer to myself. I have to answer to someone else why I made this decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's good. Well, thank you so much for sharing your experience with others. It definitely would be very empowering and encouraging and motivating because, we all think that we're struggling on our own. Everyone thinks that, and yes, everyone have different struggles and different journeys, but there are more people just like us that do struggle with weight, do struggle with self-image, do struggle with how they see themselves in the mirror. So yeah, no, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Well, thank you for having me. And thank you for helping me the way that you do. It's awesome.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
If you have any questions about this podcast or about hormones, weight loss, or just healthier lifestyle, please go to our website at lifehackcoaching.co.nz or feel free to email me directly, Anastasia at lifehackcoaching.co.nz.